So what's up, everybody? This is Ruben Garcia, and this is a beautiful day. And today on the Proven by Ruben podcast, we have Candy Sugarman. Hey, how are you? How you doing?
I am doing fabulous. So happy to be here over the cold. So now that I can sound like a normal human
right.
Yes, now sound like a normal human being. I'm excited to talk to you.
You sound amazing. So if you could tell everyone who you are, what you do, how you do it, and all that good jazz.
How much time do we have? So yes, my name is Candy Sugarman. Candy Sugarman. The first question I usually get is that my real name? Yes, it is. I am the owner of PlayBig Online Marketing, which offers social media marketing for mid-sized companies. I am also the owner of a new company, which is Simply Brilliant Marketing Plans, which is something that I come into a business and basically evaluate all of their online and social media marketing. So I work in conjunction with their social media marketing and just kind of go, hey, do you know you don't have pixels? Hey, do you know this isn't working? I'm also the owner of Gunpowder Gals, which is a women's only shooting group. I'm an NRA certified pistol instructor, and I'm a girlfriend gun party rep. And although I can't really announce it, I've got another business that is going to be launched within the next 6 weeks. And it's more firearms related than social media stuff, but it's really exciting.
What is it?
I'm like, okay.
You heard it here first.
All right, you heard it here first.
Yeah.
I don't even have a name for the business.
Okay.
That's how it is. It is a laser shooting range. So basically you come in Fayetteville.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm probably going to start up as a pop-up.
Okay.
And you come in and you can shoot zombies. You can shoot.
Oh, a pop-up. That's interesting.
Yeah. So the idea, and then I'll be able to actually take it to nonprofits as well.
Yeah.
So be able to help raise money for them, bring awareness about this. And so there's a zombie wedding reception. There's shoot, don't shoot. So for all of us who have our concealed carry, and it's great going to the range, but that doesn't really help us.
In like a real life situation.
In an actual situation.
And playing with lasers is a little bit safer.
Yeah, exactly. and it's great because I can adjust the software. So you can say, man grabs a woman and puts a knife to her throat, and then you get to decide, am I going to shoot? Am I not going to shoot? Right. I can actually change the outcome, whether you hit them or not. And so a low light shooting, there's all sorts of and just incredibly excited about it.
So they'll be playing an interactive real life game in essence. And you'll be playing a game on the other end because you can start switching things in front of and like drop an asteroid in, do whatever you want.
Not that crazy, but yeah, I can in the shoot don't shoot scenario. But I've got the software coming, everything, and so I'm very excited to be able to bring this here.
Very cool, very cool. So backing up as far as you can think, obviously you're known in the social media world, right? In the marketing world. Mm-hmm. What started that for you? When did you start even getting interest in stuff like that?
All right. So way back when I used to work at Remax All Stars, I was their coordinator. And so all the
marketing?
Actually, I didn't even start out as doing marketing. That's the funny thing. I was the MLS coordinator. So all the listings came through me, all the paperwork, everything. And once I got that all done, I didn't have enough work. So I was like, okay, I'll start doing marketing. I was doing flyers, posting things on Craigslist. I left there after the owner died. And
what did you learn even just in that very simple marketing with Craigslist and listings? What was like some of the pull away points you learned?
Well, it was really about what's going to catch people's attention and what they're interested in. 3-bedroom, 2-bath, their house.
Sold.
Ooh, really exciting, right?
Yeah.
This is not going to do it. How do you amp it up and still be truthful, obviously, but how do you amp it up and get people to see a vision of that's not just a kitchen, it's a cook's kitchen. Right. It's a dream kitchen. It's where the family's going to congregate.
Right.
How do you do that? I left that job and I had all these real estate agents who were like, we still need you to do this for me. So I started doing that on the side while I had a full-time job and decided, you know what, I have to make a decision.
Right.
And I said, well, I'll try it. If it doesn't work, I'll get another job. Right. There you go. And I did that. Social media, really, that was around 2008. Now, Twitter had been around for a while, and I'd been following Twitter since 2006, which, of course, Twitter doesn't look anything like it looked at the beginning. Right. And an opportunity to take a class came up, and I did. And one of the things that I loved about it so much was, one, it allowed a small business to really, play big online. I mean, that's the whole point of the name, was that a small business who didn't have a Coca-Cola budget or, a Honda budget would actually be able to be big in the marketplace and grab attention. And then, of course, it was always changing, which I loved. I was like, oh my gosh, every day it was different. It was having to figure it out, and all the rules changed. Now what does it mean? And so all of that really how I got started. Right,
exactly. So some of the listeners may be wondering, well, okay, so I've got a full-time gig, and there's this strong passion I really want to jump into, and I'm a little scared. And it sounded like that you were saying,
oh yeah.
So if you could kind of break that down for some of those listeners who may be scared to take that jump.
That's the thing. I mean, you can prepare. Someone came up to me the other day and she said, I really want to open up a business. I've been doing all of this. I've got a full-time job and I don't know what to do. And I said, first you have to be comfortable with the fact that you will never 100% know. You will never be 100% ready. It's just never going to happen. Because you will always, pick up little things like, oh, I don't know this. Well, you're not supposed to know everything.
Right.
And you're going to have to feel the fear and do it anyway. So, at that point, I was married. My husband got out of the Army, not retired, but got out of the Army, had no job. I was working full-time and supporting us, and I decided to quit my job in order to do this. I mean, talk about scary. It was just, I just took a leap of faith. I just said, I'm going to try it. What's the worst thing that can happen?
Truly.
And that's it. So you're always going to be scared. You've got to, and as an entrepreneur, live the fear.
Yeah.
Because guess what? Yeah. It's never, ever going to go away. In fact, it'll probably get bigger at times.
Yeah, and it should.
Yeah.
It should, right? Mm-hmm. So I put on Instagram the other day and I said, what are one of the biggest, because I do socks. Mm-hmm. I knew you were going to drop some diamonds today, so I wore my diamond socks. And it was like, is these building blocks type deal. And I put on Instagram, and you know how you could do the poll where yes or no and all that. And I said, what do you believe to be one of the cornerstones or something like that, the building blocks to a business? And it had the two options, and it said action or planning. And it was almost 50-50 on action and planning. However, I'm a done is better than perfect guy, and just go, more action than planning.
I would be interested in the people who responded.
I know. So I know that.
And I was like, the people who said planning are not entrepreneurs.
Yeah. So will it allow you to see it as
no, it does.
Just me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did, and I didn't want to say anything. Right. Obviously, I looked, and I was like, well.
It was true. Yeah.
Well,
yeah. And that's part of being an entrepreneur is you're going to do some planning, like with this virtual shooting range. I did some planning. I looked at it. I crunched the numbers. I walked away. I said, I don't have $80,000 to start it.
Is it a franchise or is this?
No.
Right.
No.
$80,000.
Well, the software itself is like $20,000.
Wow.
I kid you not. Yeah. And then I was like, okay, well, if I get a location, if I do this, like all these things started to happen. And I was like, I'm not prepared for that right now. I've got a lot of other things. I've got some personal things going on. I'm not ready. But it kept calling me and it kept calling me. And then it became a, well, what can I do that's smaller entree into the marketplace? What can I do? And I'm like, well, what about a pop-up? Well, what about, doing bachelorette parties or bachelor parties and bringing this over? But then the opportunity came. I mean, it was like, whoa! Yeah. It came and it said candy. And I looked at it and I went, I no pun intended, but I got to pull the trigger.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everything else will fall into place because there is this strong idea, this idea of what I want to do, and I'm willing to take the risk.
It was cool because that's how Axes and X's really got started. They're doing the traveling thing right now, and they're about to open up their brick and mortar, but they knew by doing that they'd get a lot of attention, they'd get a lot of people on their side, they'd start building the capital for the investment,
getting people going, oh, that's what it is. Because now I can tell it to you all day long, but like I'll put it in front of you, and you're gonna go, oh, I want to do this more. And I think as a business owner or as an entrepreneur, this whole planning and just action, you can be stuck in planning for a year. I mean, I've talked to someone, bless his heart, he's like 20 years into planning.
Right.
And that's exactly where you'll be.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so you left Remax and other agents were calling you and saying, hey, we need you for this, and then pick us up from there.
Yeah. So, really, it was, I was doing it on the side. I was working for Partnership for Children of Cumberland County. I was there working 40 hours a week and then going home and working and doing that marketing stuff.
Right.
And really it just became a point where I, you know, Partnership for Children was great. It has nothing to do with them, but and I've worked for corporate America. I've worked for internet bubble companies. I've done all sorts of things.
Right.
I got bored really, really quickly because they would give me a task and I'd be like, okay. And I would dominate and then I would be doing it and then I'd be done. And then I'd sit there and go, okay, well, I've got 3 hours.
Yep.
And a bored candy is a dangerous thing.
Yeah. Right.
And so I would just sit there and not have anything. And so I was like, I would work for 5 hours. I would have that extra 3 hours where I would just twiddle my thumbs, and then I would go home and I would work again. I was thinking, well, if I took those 3 hours and just did the work, you know, then this wouldn't be overwhelming. And again, I just decided to just take that leap and figured, what's the worst thing that can happen? It doesn't work out. I don't make any money. I find another job.
Yep.
And then I'll know.
Yeah, I guess if people looked at a job more as a safety net just in case versus that's my plan A.
Right.
I wonder how much of their mindset would change.
It's, you know, it's the fear of the unknown. And just to be 100% clear, I never wanted to work for myself. I never thought of myself as a business owner. In fact, my dad was so disappointed in me when I called him and I told him I quit my job to start my own business.
Yeah.
So I'm the only person in my family to have gone to college. And graduated.
Yeah,
and so, you know, they were both factory workers and it was a big deal for them for me to go to college, get a good job, put in the 20 years, get the gold watch, which of course doesn't even exist, right? That doesn't even exist anymore. And so when I told my dad was just devastated, he's like, how are you going to do this? I mean, there's no security in it. What is it? And I'm like, I have to try.
Right.
And so, you know, and that was when I had one business.
Now you got
forget all these businesses.
Oh, let me take off my sock and count my toes. Yeah.
Right. And it does. For me, I get very excited and I'm like, ooh, what can I do for this?
Right.
So yeah, you're just going to have to do it and figure out, well, there's other jobs. And there is no shame in doing your own thing and then going, you know what? It's a tough time.
Yep.
I need a job. I need a job just so that I can get some consistency.
Absolutely.
So that I can do stuff. Because that's what happens.
Exactly.
And it helps open up your eyes to other possibilities.
Yep.
So
and you get in connection with more people, and people buy your product, people buy your service, right?
You know what? I'm going to say people buy you. They buy your energy.
Yeah.
You know, I get so many people who will come up to me after I do speaking engagement and they'll say, oh my gosh, I want to work with you. I'm not sure how, or I want you to train me on guns, or I want you to train me on social media. Or they get excited by who you are.
Right.
Because how many people do social media? Like,
right.
I don't know, 10 billion?
Yeah,
right?
For sure, no doubt.
It's ridiculous. And so they have to feel a connection with you. And when you look at people who buy products and services, especially from, you know, the Kardashians or Patti LaBelle, right? It's because they're buying into that person.
Yep. Agreed. So when you were first diving into social media and marketing and all that, did you take a course, or was it just like practice, fail, practice, fail, or was it a mix of both?
So I did take a social media course. So my background is actually, although I have a degree in psychology, I'm very analytical. I am not a designer. I'm not a social media person who's like, okay, in this color with this font.
Well, give me this mood.
Right. Yeah. That is not that. I hire people to do that. I do not do that. Mine is about strategy and operations and how do we get from point A to point C? Like, what is that journey and how do we do it? And so when I took the first couple of classes, they gave a little bit of what I do and a lot of what other people do, that design part. And so when I would go in, I would like, oh, well, what about this? And how does this work? And so what I would do is I would test. And because at that point, you know, I had the Gunpowder Gals, which did not start out as a business. It was just, I was looking for other women to go shooting with. So I would test on that. Because, wow, if you want to test on something, try something as niche as women shooting in Cumberland County.
Sure.
And I would try it and I would look and I'd be able to measure things. And so that's really, the class helped. And then learning from what other people are doing, but taking what makes me unique and adding that to the mix is how I kind of
What was your biggest takeaway from the class that you still use today?
That there's a plan. that it's not just about posting things, that you have got to have a strategy.
Yeah.
And then everything falls underneath that. And so many businesses don't do that.
Right.
They post, they have no strategy, and then they go, well, social media doesn't work.
Right.
Like, it works.
Yeah.
Okay?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's obvious. There are thousands and thousands of very successful businesses who've done it with social media. It's just that you have to have that. And so the strategy and looking at it from a 10,000 foot view before we get into the trenches of what is it we're posting and what color looks nice and what font works.
Right. So the end game for most businesses, I'm guessing, so that might get me if I'm wrong, is money, right? Is the money. Okay. So if I wanted to, I don't know, create or do they give you a certain number that they want to see the ROI on? Or like a percentage, or
you mean my clients for
yes,
that?
Yeah.
Sometimes they do. Sometimes they have no idea. Sometimes it's brand new, so we have to figure it out.
Okay. So if I want X amount at the end of the year, and I think it'd have to, because I'm about to ask the question. I'm like, no. You have to be very specific on what your business is in order to build the strategy out of that. Yes. Correct? Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's and I get that a lot. In fact, I had someone who came up to me and they're like, "Well, we want just a marketing plan that anybody can use," and I'm like, I can't do that to you. It's not like a TV commercial and it's not a paper ad. This is very specific especially to a business. And when I talk about businesses, and I'm talking about mid-level business, and especially for the small and the micro business owners, right? So you do podcasts. It's a personality thing, right? And that's different than somebody who's like, you know what, Candy, I don't want to be on video. I don't want that to be what I do. So why would I give them a plan that says this is what you're going to do when they don't want to do it? They don't like to do it. And if those two things happen, guess what? They're not going to do it.
Right.
So it is very... It's very nuanced. It's very much for who is going to be doing the social media and how and what they want. But even more so, and stop me if I babble. Nope. People forget that sometimes there's not a straight ROI, right? I want to sell this product. Okay, great. But guess what? You're going to have to spend some money building brand awareness. Yep. And people are going to have to know, who the heck are you? What is this?
Mean?
Yeah. What does this mean? Why should I care? Why would I like it? What are the benefits? How are you different? All the stuff that, I talk about when I do my training. And that is an important thing. So there's no way to measure the fact that your ad has been up or that you're doing this until, somebody comes up and go, oh my God, I've been hearing your podcast. I had someone come up to me and she said, I've been stalking Gunpowder Gals for a year before I felt comfortable enough to go out and shoot and then hire you as a trainer.
Right. And how do you scale that or gauge that?
Yeah, exactly. How do you measure that? And you can't.
Right. So what would, if, some of the business owners that are listening, and you could drop about top 3, top 5 strategies, social media, or maybe this is so tough because I'm like, or maybe the platform to play on, but still, it depends on what your business is, correct? Like,
so here,
it's so specific. So help me out here.
Here's what I'll say. So this is my standard, and I do a lot of speaking engagements, and I get hired to do and I get hired to train companies. And what I always come up with this is always this: who is your audience? Yeah. You've got to be hyper aware of who your audience is. What kind of money do they have to spend? What do they care about? What are their pain points? What brings them pleasure? All of that. Because if you don't have that, nothing else matters. Okay?
So do you have your people build an avatar?
Yes, absolutely. Always build an avatar. And for those of you who don't know, an avatar is just who your ideal customer is. And detail it, okay? It's not enough to say women 45 to 54 who live in Fayetteville. No. Yeah. I want to know what kind of magazines do they read? What kind of apps are they looking about? What keeps them up at night, depending on what your products or services is, right? For example, for the shooting group, what keeps them up at night is they're vulnerable, right? They are there and at home, and how are they going to defend themselves if something bad should happen? Right. You have to know that, because that's how you're going to be able to speak to them and how you're going to be able to get them to do. So audience, have an avatar. You can have more than one. I get somebody who's always screaming, but I've got multiple. Right. Fine. Build multiple. Yeah. That's okay. Yeah. Know your audience, then figure out what platform works best. Right. And that's a two-pronged thing. What platform it is where your people are and where you feel comfortable.
So what would you say, So where you feel comfortable?
So when I'm looking with at the micro businesses and the small business, but by the way, the micro businesses owners is like you, and then nobody else, or maybe you hire a contractor or two, and then the small business, because according to the Small Business Administration, small businesses are with 50 people or less, right?
Oh,
so,
geez.
Right? So that
sounds like a pretty big operation.
Exactly. So it doesn't really work when you're
small. What?
Right. 50 is not small to me.
Yeah.
So we're talking about businesses who have maybe 5 or less employees, or 10 or less employees, right? So they're still really within that marketing, that who they are. And so if for you, for example, as for your business, if you're not comfortable doing the podcast or doing the videos, like I was saying earlier, then if you are on and then YouTube is not going to work for you. Right. I don't care unless you're like, who can I manage that out to? Who can I farm that out to? Yeah. Is there an alternative to people seeing me, which of course there is, but
Gotcha.
That's the important part.
Okay.
So know your audience, know what platform, and have a strategy.
Right.
Okay. I come in to do a lot of cleanup work for social media marketers. Yeah. Because they do we're going to post 5, I'll talk to the business and they're like, well, we were posting 5 days a week. I'm like, okay, great. What was the point of that? Yeah. And they go, what do you mean? Like, okay, why were you posting 5 days a week? I'm not saying it's wrong, but I'm saying why? What was behind that? And they're like, well, because we're supposed to. Okay. Yeah. Well, it should be because our market, our target market is on this channel. Mm-hmm. They're looking constantly. It's 5 days a week because one day is going to be about brand awareness and one's going to be about our products and services and the other one's going to be about what we do in the community. That should be that big strategy. Right. And it shouldn't be, we're just going to post. Right. That's not going to work.
Right. Which I feel like a lot of people do because they're, like you said, they're just supposed to do it.
Yes.
They're just supposed to do it. So what is so you got the avatar. What would be the next, when you say the strategy, what's the next piece you're looking for in the business to start building out this strategy?
What are their goals?
Okay.
I mean,
and then you chunk it down or.
Exactly. So what is your goal? Well, we want to sell. Okay, great. What do you want to sell? We want to sell everything. Okay, well, that'd be nice, but what is going to earn you the most money? Yeah. Right? Is it going to be a group coaching session? Is it going to be a speaking engagement? Right. Is it going to be a product? And is that the product important because it leads, right? It's that free, I want to promote this free product because that leads to the $7 sale, that leads to the $27 sale.
Funnel.
That, right? Yeah. All of that. Which is it that you want to do? And let's focus on that. And then how do we do it? Because what ends up happening, unless you're like a Macy's or a really big company, is you're going to be known for like just a few things. Right. What is it that you want? And you're going to push that. All the other things, I'm not saying you're stopping selling it. Right. But that's the auxiliary. That's the nice to have. We're selling this product. Right. And then we can branch out to the other stuff.
Cool. So say I found my one thing. My one thing. And if we could just, I guess the example would be, because I feel like a lot of listeners are salespeople. What if you found out my strategy and I needed to sell X amount of homes? Like I want to be I'm going to be the person that is that real estate agent who just sells a cajillion homes for the right person. And they've already built the avatar. What's next?
So then you've got that. Assuming you know what your platform is. So I'm just gonna we're gonna play on. We're gonna say let's play. It's Facebook, right? Because chances are it's Facebook. Yeah. Right. Then and you know your avatar. Then you get to decide. Okay, do I feel comfortable doing videos? Does my target market know what the benefit of buying a house is? Or is it that I'm trying to sell houses? Or am I working with somebody who wants to have rentals? Right. Investors are a whole different thing, right? For sure. And different types of investors, right? Somebody who wants to do wholesale, somebody who wants to flip, somebody who wants to own 15 houses, right? Right. How is it that I'm going to communicate what I bring to the table? Right. How am I going to show them that I know what they want and that I'll be able to fulfill that? How am I going to show that I'm trustworthy? How do I show that I'm a part of the community? Right. All of those things. And then that's what I would do. Okay, how do we do that? Well, they want to know how they can be seen as trustworthy. Well, they can do videos. Okay, what kind of videos can they do? Right. What's going on in the community? what new stores are there, right? Now, if I'm looking to say that this is my neighborhood, I'll just Kings Grant. Yeah. I sell homes in Kings Grant. Well, that's because I can tell you what the best daycares are. Yeah. I go and I interview different places. I do this so that when you're thinking Kings Grant, you think me.
Right. Absolutely. So do you think so when you feel that they're finding that, right, or that Kings Grant or whatever, do you slide a set of questions to them to make sure that they can find exactly what their value proposition is? Do you have them like a set of questions that make them think differently? No. Because you're right, a lot of people do. They're just like, I'm just going to post every single day and see what kind of, I'm going to get hundreds of leads, right? You know? And then it's like, not so much. Well, so some people need that stretch, you know?
Well, that's when I build that strategy. That's when I start. So what I do, and one of the things that I haven't said that I think is really important, and oh my gosh, it's amazing to me that people don't do this, is do research. Yeah. What are people doing that you're like, ooh, I can take that. You know, you're not stealing things, but you're taking it and you're making it uniquely your own. Yeah, so if you're a real estate agent in Fayetteville, and we know that Fayetteville real estate is blowing up right now, right? So why wouldn't I look at somebody in Los Angeles or in New York or in a higher end in Chicago, and something that I'm like, what is that real estate agent doing that maybe nobody else is doing over here? And they're in Los Angeles. It's not like you're conflicting with them.
Listen, when I was selling real estate, everyone was like making fun of me when I jumped on Snapchat, right? Mm-hmm. When I first jumped on Snapchat. And because I saw this other guy in New York doing it, he wore these yellow glasses for Snapchat. And he was crushing it. And I was like, I'm just going to do it. And then I was called creeper. Like, that's where all the creepers go. And I was like, screw it, I'm just going to do it. And I ended up selling homes through this free platform by telling a story through Snapchat. So I think that's super important. So do you think that people are at a disadvantage if they say that I don't want to do video?
Depends on their business. You know, it really depends on their business. Now, so here I sit, I'm doing this podcast. I've done speaking engagements. I've done this. I don't do a lot of video.
That's crazy. You got great energy. You can't feel it through the text. You know? And or the copy.
And it's true. But when I do video, when I do Facebook Lives for like Gunpowder Gal stuff, right? Boom. I mean that hits. Right. But it's not something that I do regularly because that's not part of. Like so it's really it's
Tell
really
me more.
Because if you come and you talk to me, you know, you're like, you'll leave and you're like, okay, I know way too much about that woman, right? But when I'm on those kinds of platforms, I do tend to want to keep a little bit more privacy, right. And just to be certain, because I don't do it for my social media because that's not my strategy for that. That doesn't work for my avatar. That doesn't work for what I do. Right. But for the gun stuff, now I have to be more cautious because there's a lot of crazy people out there, and women who are in the firearms industry get death threats of being raped. Oh yeah. I'm gonna find you. I'm gonna rape you and kill you. I mean, that is a reality.
I feel like that would be the worst person you can threaten.
You would think, but it's you know, that would be crazy. So you have to have like kind of a level of caution there. Right. And especially as a woman, you know, how much am I sharing and how vulnerable am I and what is this topic? Now, it's so funny. Some woman had come into town. She was brand new. She joined my group. She came to her first shooting event, and while we're waiting at the range, some man comes up and he goes, "Hey, are you Candy Sugarman?" Which always makes me really cautious. I'm always like, perhaps.
Maybe.
Right? And he's like, I've seen your Facebook Lives and I just want to shake your hand and thank you for what you're doing for women. I was like, okay. So 2 days later, it's Fourth Friday. And since she's new in town, I'm like, hey, you want to hang out with me at Fourth Friday? She said, yeah. So we're at Fourth Friday and we're walking around. There's a street musician, you know, I drop $1 in and he stops playing. He goes, hey, are you Candy Sugarman?
Dang.
And she looks
She's
at
like,
me,
am I with the mayor or?
right. She's like, wow, you're really popular. I'm like, this literally never happens. But for me, I trend towards causiousness. Yeah. Just because of what I do and the community and the crazies.
So a lot of, obviously, when I first started coaching and all that good stuff, obviously very heavy in real estate. Right. And ladies are very heavy. Not ladies aren't heavy. Do not. But I don't need some crazy comments.
I got where you were about to have some threats yourself.
Yeah. Like, so I need you to protect me. So obviously there's a lot of ladies in the industry.
Yes.
And so a lot of them do feel uncomfortable about that.
Mm-hmm.
And so what would you, but they also want to expand their business and they also want to be on video, but they're also very scared of that real thing. So what do you tell them when they want to grow their business, some of those ladies?
Then I say, make sure you take self-defense classes. You make sure you're armed.
Yeah.
Make sure you're trained.
True.
Make sure, even if you're not going to be on videos, you are a woman who's meeting strangers at houses. I mean, how is that not like huge red flags in terms of how scary that could be?
Yeah.
That's not something you're as a woman, you're vulnerable. I don't care. You can say bad things, but the fact of it is you are. I am smaller than you. I am not as strong as you.
Yeah.
Right? How do I protect myself?
Yeah, for sure.
You have to be aware of that. Now you're going to add the layer of, being known.
Exactly.
You get to decide how much information you push out there about yourself.
Right.
So are you bringing your kids in? Are you bringing your husband in? Are you doing a tour of your house? Are you showing them?
This is where I live.
Right. This is where I live. Hey, I only wear 6-inch heels, which makes it nearly impossible for me to run away. What are you doing? Right. I'm anti-gun.
Yeah.
Right. Great. That's wonderful.
Right.
Tell everybody that, come to, So what are you doing? Now, I'm recently separated from my husband, but I have people, and I've been in this community for 18 years. There's people that I've known for 10 plus years who don't even know that I was married.
Oh, because you kept that separate.
I kept that separate.
Right.
That was his choice. He said, I don't want anybody to know that I exist. And I said, okay. So you have the ability to decide how much information that you are putting out there.
That's true. Because even, I'm not a lady, although I think I'd make a pretty lady.
Beautiful.
Thank you. I don't put my family on my social media, and a lot of people are like, "Yo, why don't you do that? Like, we want to see your family." I'm like, "Yeah, well, it's not really my jam. Like, I don't want my daughters, and I don't want my." And sometimes my wife is on there because she just started staging and all that, and she's got her own vintage business. But I don't. I use social media for business.
Right. Right.
And that's all I want to throw on there.
Mm-hmm. And you get to determine what you want. So for people in real estate, and especially women in real estate, before you get onto that video, think, what is private? What is something that I'm just not going to talk about? I'm not going to mention that I have kids. I'm not going to say, oh, this is the school that my kid. What are you willing to share, and what are you not willing to share? Right. And you get to make that decision. Yeah. And go from there.
Right. And take your course.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And please, I don't care if you're like, I don't want a gun, fine. Take some take Krav Maga, whatever you need to do. Just be aware, and just be aware. Yeah. That's the important part. Sure. Don't be unconscious.
Yep. Absolutely. Okay. So now I know a lot of, we do have a lot of salespeople that are listening to this. And if you could give some broad advice, because I know, and believe me, it's a challenge in myself. I'm like, I want to go down a road and ask a specific question, but it's specificity to your business, right? So what would be some broad items of value that you could give someone that they could start on today to increase their...
This is it. Sit down, get a piece of paper, because I'm old school. Write down 5 things that makes you unique. Okay, within the real estate world. So many real estate agents. So why am I picking you over someone else? Why are you so much more important? What is it that makes you unique? And if you're like, I don't know, then figure something out. Yeah. Right? Like I mentioned, I just pulled out Kings Grant. I know Kings Grant area. This is what I do. This is, I can sell you a home anywhere. Absolutely. Right. And in this area, 28311 or whatever it is, I know that area. Right. I know where the schools are. I know where the traffic is. I know what they're going to be building. Whatever it is, know what you're unique in, and that is your marketing message, and push it and become that expert. Yeah,
and I struggled with that, and I knew that would be a thing that I had to do. And so what I started doing is any one of my clients, and I still do it with my coaching clients, is what do you like best about working with me? Mm-hmm. And so to see from their viewpoint, like the market's viewpoint of what they know you to be too, would be a pretty cool list to write down as well, right? Yeah. Because it's almost tested. Mm-hmm. Like you're tested in the market being you.
Right. And don't be afraid to ask for that feedback. Right. For sure. Here's, because I'm a quirky kind of gal, I actually sent an email to a couple of my very close friends And I said, what do you get out of being my friend? And how can I be a better friend to you?
Huge.
What is it that I could do? And my friend sent it back. One of my friends sent it back. She's like, this is an amazing question to me.
Yeah.
And she put down, and then she wrote out how I could be a better friend to her.
Right.
And that was amazing for me.
Then you blew up on her.
Right, absolutely. What do you mean I talked to him? No, but I was able to just, it gives you what your value is.
Yep.
And, you know, a lot of times when I do speaking engagements, I will hand out, if where I'm teaching doesn't do it, I'll hand out something that says, hey, I want to improve. I want to be the best speaker. I want to be the kind of speaker that you leave and you're like, oh my gosh, where is she speaking again? Or can I hire her? So I will send out, what did you like? What can I do better? What can I do more of? By the way, for anybody who does this, please be aware that there are banana pants crazy people out there. I actually got feedback from someone when I was doing for Veteran Business Outreach Center out at FSU. So there's like 70 or 80 people, and I collected the pieces of paper at the end. So I had no idea who it was because I allow them to be anonymous if they'd like. He said, "You're too short." That was the criticism of my training. Was there a smiley
face or something afterwards?
No, I was too short. So, you know, you're going to get some feedback.
Wow, that's an unhappy person. Like, could you imagine just going to the store and they're like, oh, short people.
Right?
Oh, short.
There was a whole song about it. There was a whole song about it. But the fact of the matter is like, I'm like, okay, I can't really change that. So by the way, I use that when I put out this feedback form. I'll say, hey guys, if you're going to give me feedback, I love feedback, but please make sure that it's something that I can change. So if you give me feedback like I'm too short, which is one I got, know that I can't do anything
much about that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, and so you can use it, but ask.
Yeah.
People love you. They will provide feedback to you.
So they write down those top 5 things. Mm-hmm. How do they use those as a tool to start growing their business? That's when they get to ask themselves some questions. How do I demonstrate this value? Right. So if it's that I have knowledge of the community, how do I demonstrate that? Do they break off like 3, 5 things of how I can show? I like odd numbers, so 3 or 5, and absolutely. So I can show it by going to the Fayetteville City Council meetings and then reporting back. Hey, you know, this is so-and-so, and I've been to the city council meetings. You probably are too busy to go, but I want to let you know that they're going to be opening up this store over here, and they're going to be doing that. How is that going to impact that real estate in that neighborhood? Mm-hmm. What's that going to mean for traffic, right? And all of a sudden, you're seen as that expert, not only in real estate, but in the community. Yeah. You're that go-to person. And they're like, oh, well, you got to talk to so-and-so. Yep. She knows what's going on. Yep. So, yes, you can branch out. I love the idea of branching out and saying, okay, how can I demonstrate it? Yeah. And then even more so, how do I demonstrate it? Is it that I do Facebook Lives? Do I do videos? Is it that I do posts? Do I do polls? Do I ask questions? Do people engage? Right. You know, how do I do that? And so that is for each person. Again, when I said, well, if you don't like video, you're going to say, okay, well, I'm not going to do video. Right. Yeah. Which, by the way, do video. Yeah. So, and I think so I push a lot of my people. I don't care how uncomfortable they are. Mm-hmm. I mean, they have in my world, and I hate that it might go against like some of the stuff you're telling your people, but like I need people to see who they are. Yes. You know, and like I want them to be in relationship with you. And when they're talking, and I said, don't hit pause or don't delete it. Right. All the quirks, all the weird stuff that you say. Oh my gosh. Go for it. People just don't love stop. The quirks. Okay, yes. So mix is real, right? What was it? One of the first hurricanes that happened, I think it was ever?
Yes, I'm that old. Thank you. First women are heavy, and now I'm old. You're just. I am not winning here. Oh no. So I think it was the 2017 hurricane. Was it Matthew? I can't even remember the name. Anyways, I did a video. So I'm doing a Facebook Live. I've got my phone over here, and I'm talking and I'm walking around because it's a place where people are able to drop off, clothes and food and water for those that are affected. And it's like, dark 30, and I'm walking and I'm talking. And at some point, my hand comes up, and I look down and I realize, hey, everybody can see up my nose. Yeah. And I was like, oh, you all can see up my nose. Yeah. And then I pushed it away and I did it. And that video got all sorts of views and people, because you're real. Now, for me, I am goofy as hell. That is just who I am. Yeah. And so that that's what I take and how I
exactly,
get people involved. You cannot, we do not want the newscasters anymore.
Right.
We don't want the, hello, and this is Candy.
Yep.
No.
Yep.
We want real.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're, and I don't want people to take away that if you're not quirky, don't force being quirky or anything like that. Just be yourself, obviously. Yes. But like, people are so used to the 9 to 5, the very structure. And then when someone pops up on video and is not that structured, it is already different than what they're used to, which they're already then attracted to it, right? So, yeah, if you're screwing up, just keep going with it.
Yeah.
Just keep going with it.
Just say, oh, I didn't mean to say that.
Yep.
I did one because somebody had put something racist on my Gunpowder Gal page, and I immediately did a Facebook Live, and I'm like, oh no, not here.
Yeah.
You don't do that. I was talking, and I said the word hell, and I was like, I'm sorry, Mom, I didn't say that. And then, and I paused in the middle of this anti-racist rant in order to say that. Yeah. That's who you are.
Yeah.
That's
100%.
And you're gonna have haters. Okay, please. You're gonna have haters.
Yeah, but I want to be liked by everyone.
Right? Yeah.
What did Steve Jobs say? He said, "If you want to be liked by," I think it was Steve Jobs. He said, "If you want to be liked by everyone, then sell ice cream."
There you go.
That's what he said.
And then even today, that wouldn't work.
True.
How come it's vegan? It's not vegan. You tortured cows to get that.
You just ruined that quote for me.
I know.
I use it all the time.
I'm sorry. Not everybody's gonna like. Nobody's gonna. And you know what? There are people out there that that person who wrote that racist remark probably really hates me now.
Yeah.
And guess what? I'm good with it.
A-okay.
Yes.
A-okay. So what would you say is the one platform that, so I want to go there, but let me just make sure I got it all here. Top 5, at least 3 to 5 of each one of those 5, and then execute on each one of those 3 to 5. How many times? Infinity forever.
Right. Find what works. Find what works for you.
Yeah.
And then and please give yourself some time. Social media is not a sprint, people. Yeah. It is a marathon. I had one, and she was a real estate client, and I started working with her, and after 6 weeks, she's like, I don't want to do this anymore. It's not working. I'm like, baby, it's
6
been
months.
6 weeks.
6 weeks.
6 weeks. And I was like, you can't even break out.
Yeah.
In 6 weeks,
right?
In your Facebook algorithms, I mean,
exactly.
Okay. If you dumped in $900,000 in Facebook ads,
you'll beat it,
right? Then we'll be there.
Yeah.
But in 6 weeks, but no ad money, and no, you're not doing it.
I heard someone say it's not a microwave, it's a crock pot.
Oh, I like that too.
I like that.
That works for my cooking soul. Yes, I like that. Yes.
Yeah.
It's not an Instapot, people.
Yeah. No, man. It takes time.
Right.
It takes a lot of time.
So figure out what that does, what that works, and do it long term. You do not get known. Okay, so I will tell you, and I will not get into. I had a very wealthy real estate agent client. Was not in this state. Was in another state.
What's their name exactly?
Yeah, I can't tell you because I'm talking about how she got really, really popular quickly. So she was known in her area for selling $1 million vacation homes, and they were usually like the second $1 million vacation homes. Okay.
Okay.
So she was well known in that area, and we were doing all her marketing efforts for years, and she was doing really well, and her social media reflected that. Well, she went from doing really well to amazing in numbers because she took off with her kids and disappeared and left the ex-husband. And so like the police were looking for her and all of this kind of stuff. So like her numbers, like overnight, her social media blew up because everybody's like, where are you? Was it set up? No, she really I had no idea. I had the police officers. I didn't know this was some cool marketing strategy. No, but I'm saying like when I have people who are like, well, I want this overnight success. I want all of this. Well, that's one way to get it. She was on the news. They were like, have you seen this woman and her sons? That's like people. Wow. Like I said, the police officers were calling me because they found a scrap of paper with my zip code on it.
Give her up.
And they did. They were like, "Is she visiting you?"
Yeah.
No, I've never met this woman.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. Why did she have her address? I don't know, but I put that out because that's how an overnight sensation happens.
What happened? Now I gotta ask.
She was found in Florida and was arrested and brought up on charges and then extradited to her state, and then all the charges were dropped. But her social media, like we shut down all of her social media. We had to shut down all of her social media because people were vicious. Yeah, vicious. But
no one knows the other side of the story either, right? Like what was going on at the house, maybe.
Right. Oh yeah, there was a whole bunch of backstory. But when I have somebody who says, well, I want, all this, well, you know what, commit a crime or fake committing a crime. Don't do that. I'm not actually saying to do that.
I'm going to just copy this one little
and then play that verb Candy says too.
Over.
The fact of the matter is that only when generally really bad things happen.
Yeah.
That'll happen.
So yeah, absolutely. So out of the, do it for infinity. Here's the 3 to 5 of the 3 to 5.
Right.
How much of that should be planned and how much of that should be sporadic because something happened or...
How comfortable do you feel that you can get on your platform and talk about something that it happened? Because, we're talking real estate agent. You have a life that's beyond this. You have current clients that you're working with. You've got your whole life going on. Can you jump on and go, hey, this just happened? And how important is that to do? So I planning is good,
right?
But I'm certainly the queen of, oh my gosh, you would not believe what just happened, and then jumping on. In fact, a lot of the Facebook lives that I do aren't planned. It is me just kind of jumping on and saying, hey, this is going on. This is why I'm talking about it. This is why I think it's important, and then just go from there.
And what do you think the benefit of that is versus the planned, structured, at 7 a.m. this goes out about Motivation Monday or something?
Well, Facebook loves Facebook Live. So all the platforms where you do a live, and that's in Instagram as well, where you just kind of do those videos, people like that. And of course, if you can be one of the first to talk about something, then that certainly can elevate you in the marketplace.
Right.
Especially if you're trying to be known in a certain area, being able to go, hey, this just happened, and people are like, oh, okay, right? Then you get to be seen more as an area. Some people just can't do that.
Right.
They are I have a script. Yeah. I am not a script gal.
Do you know the DISC assessment?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So high C's and stuff like that need that structure.
Right. And some people, for example, I worked with someone so we could do structured videos of, hey, this is Candy Sugarman, PlayBig Online Marketing, and I'm doing that. I could not do it. Every
so funny
video,
you say that.
Every video that I looked at, I was stiff and uncomfortable. I mean, it was just whatever makes me.
Yeah.
Does not translate when I have to read a script.
Dude, 100%. We're doing videos now because we're going to be coming out with e-courses.
Mm-hmm.
And my video guy was recording and he was like, dude, just kind of get bullet points on the script and then just go do yourself because come on, man. Yeah. I was like, I know, I'm so bad at that.
It is. My best shining moments, when somebody says, okay, we want you to
That's
train.
Why there's no script here.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was good with that. I was good with not having an idea with the topic. I'll roll with it.
Yeah.
So when somebody asks me to teach, I'm like, okay, I will go ahead and I will have those bullet points and I'll see what comes out of my mouth when I start to talk.
But at least you set that expectation, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But some people cannot do that. If you can't do that, don't do that.
Right, exactly. So another question on those 3 to 5 to 3 to 5 to planned and sporadic. Should the business owner or the top manager or whoever that might be, should they be the ones doing it sometimes? Or should they be leveraging it to a marketing person within the company?
Okay, it depends on their business, right? Coca-Cola, you're not seeing that CEO come out there. You wouldn't know.
How cool would that be, though?
I wouldn't know who the heck he is.
I think it's a she.
I don't know who the heck she is. I mean, honestly, and it would have no significance for me. But then, I start to think, and of course I'm going to go back to the guns because that's different than social media. But, when I think of the smaller gun stores or that has an impact, especially when I'm talking local, right? Right? Sam Castillo of the Rock Guns and Accessory coming out and doing a video and talking, then I'm like, hey, I know him, right? You get that kind of celebrity rush, that, hey, I know that person.
Exactly.
And that's so much more meaningful than Wayne LaPierre of NRA speaking. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll listen to him, but there's no real connection there.
Right.
So if you are wanting to be known in the area, who is it that you want to be known? Is it the CEO? Is it the president? Is it the workers?
Right.
Or is it the spokesperson? And then you can decide from there.
Yeah. Yeah, because I guess when you go that big too, the board is like, nope.
Right. Oh,
We better filter everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and it becomes less spontaneous. And again, for those who are looking, who are part of an organization or a structure, like if I was part of a franchise,
right?
Do you have to clear with them what you're doing and what you're talking about?
Yeah.
That's a really
you know
important
what?
thing.
And I was working with some lenders, and I was like, oh, excited. And then we're trying to build that avatar, and I thought chiropractic, like people. Either way, we were going in this, but they could not market or brand like the way we wanted to because the bureaucracy above them.
The financial, the healthcare. Like, there's like,
because
all
they
things.
did the medical loans, and I was like, oh, we need to find like, what if we just work with chiropractic? Like, we were going super niche. Nope.
No, yeah, it's. I don't even try to work with them. I don't even try because the restriction. I mean, I've worked with them. They were like, okay, well, like with an attorney, and they're like, okay, we have to take this, and we've got to go and get their approval, and then we've got to make changes, and then it goes back to you. And then I'm like, okay, great. That was 2 months ago. Guess what? That stuff doesn't even matter now. It's no longer relevant. Everybody's already done it to death. It has no value.
So, okay. So I think the listeners got some 3 to 5 to 3 to 5 to sporadic to all that good stuff. So what do you think about the schools, right? Like some of these, right? And now,
finish your question so everybody knows what kind of schools, right?
Like schools that are putting on social media classes and entrepreneur classes, and so what are your thoughts on that? Because I have my own.
All right, so I remember the first time I talked to
knowing that everything changes so fast. Okay, go ahead.
So So I'll go with my story first, and then I'll elaborate.
Cool.
So the attorneys, they had a woman who is in college, and they wanted her to do the social media, so they hired me in order to teach her how to do the social media stuff, which is I get a lot of business where they just want me to teach their social media people, which I love to do all day long. Call me about it. It's not even an issue. So I'm talking to her and I'm telling her, here's how we do the strategy. And she's like, I'm taking all these social media classes in school and they haven't even covered this. I mean, she's like, I'm like in my second year and nobody's even talked about that. I don't understand why. So here's the thing. You've got people teaching social media classes who have never used social media for a business.
Yeah.
You've got people teaching social media classes who have no business background.
Right.
Right? And there is a problem there, and they're teaching this yellow color looks good with this font, and they're not teaching the marketing piece of it. And that's what I have a problem with. And again, it changes so often. By the way, after I trained that woman, she quit that job and got a job as a social media marketing person for another company, which I thought was so funny. She couldn't have done it had I not trained her, because what they were teaching in school was not sufficient.
Right.
And I don't know how how do you get a degree? The idea that there's a degree in entrepreneurship, like, oh, I know, like blows my mind, because for me, it is a mindset. It's a person. I mean, a degree in business makes sense.
Right.
A degree in entrepreneurship, how do you do that?
I don't know, because I posted something on Facebook, which I was surprised how much it got, but I think it's the storytelling behind it. Yeah. I started sweeping driveways at 7 years old. Right? I didn't go to school to start learning how this entrepreneurship.
Like, how do I talk to people, and how do I market it as a value, and how do I build a brand, and all that?
But they got to understand, like, college is a business, and if entrepreneurship is like the key word nowadays, okay.
Oh yeah,
social media.
When I see some of those degrees, I'm like, how is that a degree? Like that doesn't. That makes no sense, and there's so many diploma mills. Yeah, that's what they are, and people are like, "Well, I can't get a job."
Diploma mills,
because I've got all these diplomas. Well, that's great. You know why? Because it's devalued.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, people: the more people who do it, the less it has a value. Right. That's I don't know how to tell you. Me as a social media marketer, even with 600-700 hours of training people, someone actually contacted me, said, can I hire you to train my 12-year-old to do my social media marketing? Because there's no value in it, because everybody can do it, right? It's like there's the 10 million people across the world, people who do it for $5 an hour. So so you got your degree in whatever it is, and there are 15,000 people today graduating with it. Guess what? You're not going to be able to find a high-paying job, because there's just too many people who are willing to do it for a lot less than you are.
So what would you tell someone who's aspiring to be that marketer, aspiring to be that person? How do you tell, what's the conversation with them to get them started in that industry for them to grow their own business?
How are you going to be different? It's
back to the avatar.
It's back to everything. How are you going to be different? So when I taught at FTCC the other day, there were 4
Oh, right.
4 different other social media marketers in that group listening to me teach social media marketing, right? Okay. How are you different? How are you? I had one guy come to one of my training classes and tell me, I'm going to steal all your clients and I'm going to do it by being cheaper than you. And I was like, okay. Right. You know, no, that was his hook.
Well, you know what they say.
For 100, 150, imitation is the serious form of flattery. Yep. But I was like, okay. He wanted to differentiate himself in the marketplace by being the cheapest.
Right.
Y'all, I hope you do not aspire to that.
Right.
I do not aspire to being the cheapest.
They say price is only an issue in the absence of value.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, which is true, right?
Yeah.
That's why people pay big bucks for lots of value.
Mm-hmm. Or have you seen that one post where it shows Tiffany has a gold paperclip for $1,500 and then they have a sterling silver paperclip for like $625?
No.
Right? Yeah. They sell that. They sell that.
Wow.
Somebody buys that.
Yeah. So
you know?
In your mind, when so what about TV commercials? Do they work?
Okay, so that's honestly, that's totally without that's not my realm at all.
Okay. I was going to say, when you watch commercials, like what are your...
So I don't know about you, but I don't watch commercials.
Me neither.
One, I don't have a TV. So that makes it hard. When Hulu, and I do Hulu.
It does make it hard.
Yeah. And Hulu, sorry to tell you this, Hulu, I mute you, and I'm usually doing like 4 other different things anyway. Like, right? So yeah. But my next door neighbor, he's a sweet little kid, and he comes over and he's talking to me, and he's looking something up on YouTube, and he puts it in his pocket, his phone in his pocket. I go, "Why'd you do that?" He goes, "Oh, it's a commercial." That's how he responds to commercials.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah. No, I get it. And so from your what is one of the best strategies that you've seen a company do that you're like, man, they knocked it out of the park?
Oh gosh, that's a hard one. You know, I guess some of the ones that are like, and how sad is it that I can't necessarily remember the name. So, No BS Skincare. So it was a video that I saw on Facebook, and they've got it, of course, on Instagram. And it shows this, you know, highfalutin woman, and she's got gold on her face, like gold, like gold leaf on her face. And the next shot is she's got snails on her face, because that's an actual, somebody's paying money to have snails put on their face. I kid you not. I shudder for humanity. Anyways, and then like the spokesperson comes up and she's like, "This is BS. You know, your skincare routine is going to have chemicals, but you don't want harmful chemicals." And she does this whole thing, and she's walking by like all these people doing crazy stuff to their skin, and she's talking about it, and it was funny, and I watched it, and I bought. Yeah. So you know, there are you know, there's commercials that's what they are. They're videos of commercials. But they're funny. You watch them, like the one with the squatty potty, where it shows the unicorn squatting and pooping out rainbow swirls on. You haven't seen that one?
No.
Yeah, and it's
although now when I see it, I'm like,
and it's an ice cream cone,
I'm gonna yell
and they're
candy.
squatting these rainbow.
Someone's gonna be like, that is
soft
not candy.
serve, right? And the guy comes and he's dressed as a prince, and he's talking about the squatty potty that helps make bowel movements easier, but it is absolutely hilarious. Yeah. And so those are the ones where they knock it out of the park, and you're like, oh my gosh, because they're shareable, right? People are like, oh my gosh, have you seen this? And that's how it goes. That's what you want. You want something, and of course, you know, that's going to be for these, they spend a lot of money for that. Sure. You know, unicorns aren't cheap. Yeah. No. Unicorns squatting. I don't even know where to find one. Yeah, right? Unicorns taking a dump is even harder,
in
right?
A rainbow.
And to do it where it's funny, and it's slightly vulgar, but that's what makes it funny.
Yeah. Okay. So what would be some strategies to make sure that your post is engaging, where people are not just looking at it and kind of moving on, but they actually talk back?
You're making me feel bad because I keep going back to the avatar.
Let's go.
Right?
No, because I just went to Durham like 2 days ago, and I was speaking, and I was like, guys, one thing that I found is that we overcomplicate the simple. Right. And if this is simple, let's give it to them.
What do they care about? What are they going to respond to? How are they going to act? Like what is it that they like? I mean, it's really that simple.
Right.
People like to be told what to do. I'm sorry if everybody who's gasping and saying, no, that's not true. We like it. Some of my most popular Facebook Lives are always like, hey, can you give me a thumbs up if you agree? Can you not believe this? Can you give me a wave? Can you tell me where you're from? And people, okay, and they will do it.
Right.
Right? And of course, you want to be polite. But if you want engagement, what are they going to engage with?
Right.
And what level of engagement? Do you want a little heart? Do you want them to tell a story?
So you have to tell them what you're looking for from them.
Yes.
Okay.
And no, you have to tell them what you're looking from them, and you have to do it so that they will, right?
Right.
Right. So that if you're saying, hey, I want you to list out, I'll go back to the guns. If I want you to list out all your guns, right? You're gonna have. I know my audience is gonna go, hell no.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not gonna put it on a public forum.
Right.
And that would be stupid of me to ask. But if I could say, if I'm talking and I say, hey, tell me like the stupidest thing anybody ever told you in regards to shooting or guns or what, then they're going to engage. They're going to tell that story, and then other people are going to engage with that.
Yeah. And that obviously helps with all the algorithms and everything else when people are commenting and liking. And...
Yes. So if we're talking Facebook, it's ranked. Your interaction is ranked. So a like is like the lowest level of interaction. Reactions, which is anything other than the little thumbs up, is slightly better.
Right.
Somebody commenting yes is good. It's better than everything else. But somebody saying, you know what, Candy, I really think blah 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 is great. Somebody saying, hey, Candy, what I think, and then somebody responding to that person talking to you, woo, gold mine.
What do you think GIFs, thank you. GIFs, because when you're scrolling through other people's comments, the GIF is always bigger.
Oh, yeah.
Than the actual comments. Do you think that?
I think in terms of ranking, and again, I'm not privy to all of that. You know, we kind of got that 10,000 foot view.
Right, sure.
It's not as engaging, right? So social media is about being social, and Zuckerberg has talked about very much about he wants a social. So if it prompts comments, if it prompts people to like it, then that's going to be good. Yeah. If it prompts people to respond in words, that's going to be better.
Right.
So it does something, which is better than nothing.
Yeah.
But having a comment and having people being social by having a discussion, that is the goal.
Yeah.
It's difficult to attain. You don't always know what's going to spark people to do that.
Right. Yeah. And for business owners, do you believe that there has to be because it sounds like there has to be with telling people what to do, there has to be a call to action to hit this button, to go here to this external website,
for the most part, and not always. Sometimes it speaks for themselves. I'll post a meme on the Gunpowder Gals, and it'll crazy 7,000.
Are you affiliate for any guns?
No. I can't sell anything because I'm not an FFL.
Okay,
there's all sorts of
legal
idea. Restrictions and stuff
like that.
In trouble
already.
Okay. Literally, you're trying to get me arrested. Thank you.
I'm
so sorry. So sometimes you don't need to. Sometimes a funny meme is they don't need to say like and share it. When so the National Wild Turkey Federation has an event coming up. I'm one of the sponsors, and I'll put that, and I'll say, and I've got flyers for you. But and it's Women in the Outdoors event. It's a great event.
I can't come. You're giving me flyers.
You actually can come. You can be one of the volunteers because we do allow men as long as they serve. No. Actually,
a creeper in the woods.
Only volunteers there are men.
Okay.
That's it. We only allow the men to volunteer. All the women are there to have a good time, to enjoy themselves, to learn, and to be outdoors.
The wife would enjoy it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
I highly recommend it. Anyways, so I'll share that on my Gunpowder Gals, and I'll say, hey, can you please share this with a woman that you think would be interested? Right? That would be a call to action that I would put in.
Right.
But sometimes, I put in articles that other people are, and I just put it there as information. There's no call to action because I didn't write that article. It doesn't give me anything.
Right.
But part of my strategy is to keep people informed. Informed about the laws, informed about what's going on in there.
Right.
And so I don't need a call to action on that.
That makes sense. Yeah. Okay, so if you could give like a broad look at, I know, I have to say broad because it's so specific.
I know.
A broad look of who's on Facebook. Like, if you could just...
Oh gosh, I don't have that. I mean, honestly, I would tell you freaking Google
verbatim.
it. Women are more likely to be on Facebook than men. People 35 and over are more likely to be on Facebook. The 55 and over market, hot.
Facebook?
55 and over market women, hot. That is, by the way, demographically speaking, that is an underserved market. There's like $1 trillion worth of wealth right now for women 55 and over in the United States. They're not marketed to.
What do they want?
Well, that's a very broad question.
What's the number one thing they want? I don't
know.
Well,
a lot of them have a disposable income, so they're
right.
looking for experience. They're looking to have fun. They're looking to go out in the world. They're looking, gunpowder gals are made up of women over 55 because their kids are older and now they have this money, right? And so they're looking for experience. They want to look to do something else, and then they have this money. They want to go outdoors. They want to have experiences. They want to do different things. They want to see themselves in a different light. You know, they have learned all those hard lessons, and and I'll say chains, although somebody will have a problem with it. The chains that held them down, like childcare, like, oh, I got to breastfeed, so I can't go more than 2 hours away from the baby, or that, you know, I've got to pick somebody up at school, or I've got to make dinner, all that. They're released from that, you know? They're more likely to be divorced. They're more likely to have children who are older and on their own. And now they're like, hey, all I have to please is myself. Right? That's the first time they get to be that since they were even a teenager. Right. And so that's a huge market there.
That makes sense. And you know, I encourage anybody to go to your class, because when I went to your class I just built a Google page, this dummy over here.
Google Business.
Google Business, and is now an app on my phone. So I actually post on there as if it were not all pictures, but businessy. I'm in front of a classroom pictures on there, and thank you for that. And you also showed like who your audience is on Facebook, and I was very surprised that most was female. For me, and I was like, but I'm such a Peterhead sometimes. Like how
women?
I guess
women are more likely to buy. That's it. I mean, we as little girls. I mean, and this is a whole sociological thing, but we always were encouraged to buy, to be better, to get better, to look better, to seem better, and you do that by purchasing. Marketing to kids is huge, and marketing to little girls is overwhelming.
Really?
And even without that, just what we do as a society to little girls, and that's why they're going to be purchasing. Here, you can't be happy. Of course I can't be happy. I'm doing like 80% of the work 110% of the time. But if you buy this, you'll be happy. Okay. Okay, that worked for 5 minutes. Let me buy again, right? So that's a whole other thing.
Oh my gosh.
So so you can Google any social network, and you can just say, right, what are the demographics? And it'll tell you, and then you can look. Right, Snapchat was like 1%, 1 to 3% of people over 65. Like
super low.
Right, so you're really dealing with the 16,
which I since jumped off Snapchat. Just when Instagram came out with its stories, like it ate up my content on Snapchat, and I was like, I'm just gonna go stories on Instagram, and it just had way more reach than Snapchat. But
there you go.
Who's on Instagram? Broad.
Females between the ages of 18 and 34, and they tend to have money. They have a little bit more disposable income. 18 to like 24, most of them don't have kids. Even if they do, they're still more likely to spend money on themselves. And so that's what you're
okay. All right. So what about Twitter?
Twitter is a mixed bag. Now, I will tell you, I've looked at the statistics back and forth for Twitter, and I've never believed them. And here's why I've never believed them. You can open a Twitter account, and there's virtually no information, right? I mean, I've got 3 or 4 different Twitter accounts for different things, and I can lie about my sex and my age and, you know, all of this kind of stuff. So I never trusted the demographic information on Twitter.
Well, that makes sense.
But it trends a little bit slightly more men, if I recall, than women. And for me, Twitter is just a dumpster fire, right?
What does that mean?
That means that they're anonymous, so they will say and post just horrifically misogynistic, racist, horrible stuff. So way back in like 2008, 2009, and I would give live classes, and I would actually pull up Twitter, and I would, do a hashtag for FayNC to show people like I had to stop that because the things that were like live, and I was
really?
like, oh my gosh, I'm sitting there trying to shut it down because it was, I can't, the vulgarity of it.
Really?
It was.
I used to use it as a hack, so I would just I would just hashtag home finding or hashtag selling home or hashtag something like that in Fayetteville. I would just jump in people's conversations.
Oh yeah, that's an absolutely great one to do. But I mean,
but not anymore. I don't jump on it anymore.
Local. I never found Fayetteville to be a very Twitter heavy presence.
Right.
Like when I look, nobody's using any Fayetteville NC or FayNC or I wasn't finding that any trending. Anything was Fayetteville was so many different Fayettevilles in the country, and then again, it was just like vulgar and racist and horrifying stuff. Yeah. And like my eyes are still open because I can like still see it's like some of the pictures like no.
Yeah. It's burned in your head forever.
Yeah. So no, I'm not a big Twitter fan. Okay. People who do Twitter are Twitter people. Right. That is what they do, and they've got their phone in their hand and they're always on it and they're jumping on because it's such a quick acting news stream of things. And I think to really be successful on there, you have to devote your time to it.
Yeah. Do you find that there's a lot of so I'll watch fighting, and so a lot of MMA fighters are on. They're constantly tweeting. Do you find it's like and athletes and politicians, like it's more of the higher
politicians, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But remember, they're themselves brands, right? It's not like
right. That makes sense.
So me as Candy Sugarman going out there would be different than if I owned a big corporation and doing things like that.
Okay.
And again, when you look at them, they're heavy into it. They're already in there. And I think for the most part is to be on Twitter, you have to have a thicker skin and be okay with controversy, and you have to be okay with people saying really mean things. Right. Again, because there's that anonymity. I mean, they say mean things on Facebook too, but somebody screenshot and say, hey, this person just gave me a death threat. That's a lot different than this account gave me a death threat. Well, who is that? I don't know. It's owned by an email that's owned by an email that,
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. So what about LinkedIn?
LinkedIn is great, but LinkedIn is not Facebook. And all of you people who are using LinkedIn as Facebook, stop it. Okay, do not post good morning or this is my niece's birthday party.
Yeah.
No, it is about business. It's supposed to be 100% about business. Yeah. And nothing irritates me more than to get onto LinkedIn and see it junked up on Facebook stuff. It's not a social network in that kind of regard. Right. It's a business network.
So well, I think you pretty much answered it.
Yeah, I was like, slam that down. Dang
it. So no breakfast shots.
No breakfast shots and no talking about your niece and nephew and no congratulations because they graduate. I don't care.
Yeah. So it's just stuff going on in the office or just accomplishments of your own, accomplishments of your team.
It's about business. What product are you selling? Right. What kind of people are you looking? LinkedIn has always set itself apart because it was one of the very, very few social networks that started out as a business, that they had a board of directors, that they had all of this. It wasn't, Facebook and Twitter. None of that was started as a business network. It grew to that because people jumped on and used it. Right. But LinkedIn was always meant as a business. Right. And so that's this whole junking up of Facebook makes some of us just very upset.
Yeah. Okay. So, how would I, since we're obviously talking about business, how would I use LinkedIn as a leverage to grow my business? What would be like the top thing you would do? You or like a person? I know. Broad again. It really depends. I find LinkedIn works better for business to business. Although I've had people who are like, I do consumer stuff and I do it. You find people, you engage with them on, okay, I'm now connected with you. I see your posts. I'm going to respond, right? You're going to be happy because you're like, woohoo, somebody made a comment. Yeah. And then you're going to engage with me. Right. And if I keep doing that in a very non-stalkerish way, right, there's going to be a relationship built there, right? There's going to be some known and some trust. Yeah. So if I reach out to you and say, hey, Ruben, I was thinking about doing this and I think we could collaborate and maybe do this. Would you be interested in talking? Yeah.
you're going to be a lot more open to it than who is this person who's asking me to do business? Because we're all getting that on LinkedIn, because that is the big selling thing that people are doing on LinkedIn. Hey, let's connect. I connect, and then immediately I get, hey, Kangi, thank you so much for connecting. I was looking
through your profile.
Right. I was looking through your profile, and I could see you need a social media marketer, and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I do? Okay, right?
Yeah.
And that's...
You can smell that from a mile away.
And right now, that's huge, because there are thousands of social media networkers out there that are selling that package to business owners. So I wouldn't...
Right,
It depends on, one, how big is your product that you're selling. You know, if you're selling, you know, a $10 product, it might not be worth your time. But if you're looking for connectors, so if I connect with you and you and I go in and we do referral marketing and we do something like that, that might be worth a lot more of my time to find you on LinkedIn, to comment on LinkedIn, to say, hey, can we have coffee? Can we do this? And then build and grow that relationship so that in 3 months that you and I feel comfortable enough that I can say, hey, I do this and I'm looking for business owners and I think you have a pulse on that. Would you be willing to recommend me? Would you be willing to refer me?
Right.
That to me is a relationship. Yeah. And not this drive-by one-night stand type of things that these marketers are trying to do.
Yeah. I mean, you can smell it too. Like, it's just nope. So, and you brought up something, and I just want to know how important this is to actually like and or comment on the people who are commenting on your material. How important is that for that business or person?
I will always say this. If somebody came up to you and you were like, hey, Ruben, I love your t-shirt. You wouldn't
by the way, Pressed Downtown makes this.
Pressed. Okay. Ashley's fabulous, right?
I did a podcast with her. Just go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. So, if I came up and said, hey, I love your t-shirt, Ruben, you wouldn't look at me blankly and walk away, would you? No, because that would be rude. And somewhere, you'd be like, my mom would like smack me on the back of the head for doing that, you know? So why would you do it in a social realm like that? Right. You would respond, hey, thank you. I really appreciate that. Right. Thanks for that review. They left 5 stars and nothing else. Hey, I really appreciate that. Thank you. Right. You know, reviews like yours help grow my business. And it's, of course, difficult if you're doing your own social media. It's difficult to do it yourself.
Is that kind of what you signed up for when you jumped on a social media, though?
Yeah. Hello, it's right there in the tag. Social.
Exactly.
Social media. That whole thing, and I tell the story, and this was years ago. There was this one company that did like food delivery. It was local people, local farmers, and you would
What's
order.
Their name specifically?
No, I'm not. I actually loathe it, and they would drop. They're actually out of business now, but they would drop it off, and I love this. I love the idea that it was local farmers, that it was helping my community, that it was a local business. It was a big deal for me, and I remember they posted something, and I responded. I said, I love you guys. I love what you do, blah, blah, blah. I think everybody, and I did a glowing review right there on the Facebook page, and they never responded. Yeah. Okay, guys, I'm not crying in my pillow about this 10 years later. Please don't mistake it. But the fact of the matter is, I thought, that's really rude. And it made me feel a certain kind of way about that company. Yeah. That I went out of my way and spent time and effort to really tell them how much it meant and help promote their business. Because when I respond, at that point, Facebook was giving more leeway to people who were responding to that. So they would say, hey, Candy responded to this. Right? And they didn't do it. Yeah. It's just rude. So if at all possible, always remark. Even if they're just like a little wavy sign. Hey, thanks for joining me. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's super, super important. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I'm guilty of it sometimes. I'll post and then walk away, and go back and be like, oh, whoa. Right. And then you want to jump back on. But I do, man.
Yeah, we all do it because we all have lives. Yeah. Try as hard as you can and try to respond. And hey, you could say, hey, look, I'm really sorry it took me 3 weeks to get to you, but I was so busy and this got lost, and I do really appreciate what you're doing. Right. Because that still means a lot. Yeah, and absolutely. Guys, for the negative comments, like someone once posted something about me. What was it? Oh, it was a comment that I had started on Gunpowder Gals, and I had gotten a lot of responses, and someone told me I was what's wrong with the world today. That was her response to me. I was what's wrong with that. And I looked at that, and wow, there were so many ways that I could have gone on that one. And it was like, well, I'm sorry that you feel that way. I disagree. Mm-hmm. Boom. And leave it that way. Right. you get to when somebody says something negative or rude, or I got called. Fayetteville Observer did an article about my concealed carry fashion show, and there was a picture of me and some other very nice ladies who were models for it, and somebody called me backwoods ignorant hillbilly, or called all of us there. Like, that was the response. And I was like, oh, hell no. And I was like, and I put it out there. I'm like, I'm sorry, what exactly makes me backwoods and in hillbilly? Is my degree from UCLA? Is it the fact that I can speak 2 languages? Is it the fact that I own multiple businesses? You know, what exactly makes me this, right? And I posted it out there, and then I thought, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have done that.
I had someone tell me a long time ago, they're like, don't ever go down to their level, because that's where they're an expert at.
Right. Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. I like that. By the way, he never responded to me, and I had a whole bunch of other people who like jumped on
with axes.
They came up and they were like, no. But I was like, I made my point, and I wasn't rude about it.
Yeah, for sure.
I just said, here are all my traits. What exactly were the ones that you were referring to?
Right,
you know?
Right.
But yes, don't ever go down to someone else's level. Don't, you know, if they swear at you, if you feel that it is highly inappropriate, delete that, hide the post and delete the post and report it. Yep. Because you don't have to take that.
Absolutely. I agree. So since we're kind of jumping across platforms, what about Snapchat?
You know, I don't deal with Snapchat at all. Yeah. At all. It's the demographic for the businesses that I work for. It does not work for them. Yeah. And it's not, and when I work with the business, I look at what are the most likely platforms, not the outliers, because most of them do not have the Coca-Cola budget and say, here's $10 million, have fun. They're usually like, and I'm going to spend most of my time on there. And Snapchat are not my people. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. It was about 2 months ago, I was just doing posts on Snapchat like, hey, guys, I'm going to give you 5 days. I'm leaving. I'm going to Instagram. Just because the interaction wasn't what it used to be, like not at all. So what about, and I throw this one out every once in a while, have you heard of TikTok?
No, I haven't.
So Musical.ly, you know Musical.ly, the app? So this is definitely probably younger girls and younger boys. But I always like to see what's climbing.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and Musical.ly, either TikTok bought Musical.ly or Musical.ly, or they're the same thing, something. But I'm on TikTok now, and my videos are getting that like 20-something thousand views.
Wow. Are they your target market?
I have no idea. There's no plan on this one.
So yeah.
All I know is that there's people there and there's eyeballs there. Right. And
so here's what makes me a little suspicious about these really, really small ones. Yeah. Is that it's very easy for these companies to pay overseas workers to comment, to like, to create these accounts, to watch these videos.
Don't hurt my feelings on this.
I'm sorry. I'm just saying it's just so easy because then they're looking for valuations, right? We're looking to be bought out, and now I can say that our videos tend to have 1 million views a day when there are 85 people over in India who are getting paid $1 an hour to go click. Yeah. Click. They've got 4 or 5 different phones or 4 or 5 different computers, and they're just clicking through those in order to do it. And I agree that you need to keep an eye on the smaller ones, like Nextdoor. Is a good one. Yep. I like Nextdoor. Same. But you have to keep an eye out to make sure that there's not any of that false stuff going on. Instagram, great. 800 million people on Instagram, I believe. 75% of them are in other countries.
Get out of here. Wow.
I mean, that's the last statistics I looked at. But, 25 million, right? But it was growing in the U.S. But again, there you go. So... Right. How active are the 25 million that are in the U.S.?
I kept seeing advertisements about it, and I was like, okay, enough's enough.
And I'm wondering if you
how do I know how much is downloaded? How many people have downloaded it?
So I would actually just go demographics of, and that's what I would type in the Google search, demographics of, and then put in the that, and then I would see. Okay. And if it doesn't have demographics,
it's out of California,
which I have a hard time believing they don't, because that's.
Sure they do, and I'll do that later.
Yeah, and just to look at it. But again,
So you got me thinking more about this than I first, which is good, right?
I mean, we always have to be cautious of the numbers. Always be cautious of the numbers. And I think when I was training you, I told you that someone social media marketer had posted that he had a reach of 60,000 people, and I looked on his page, and there was 1,500 people who liked his web or his Facebook page, and he had like 1 or 2 responses to his stuff. And I'm like, how do you get 60,000 when, you're not even breaking 2,000 on this? And you're saying that it's organic, and I'm looking, and you've got 18 ads running.
Oh, well, that's not so organic.
Right. So for me, I'm like, these numbers don't necessarily add up.
Yeah. So what about, and 2 more on the social media stuff.
I don't know any other ones. That's it.
YouTube?
Haven't heard of it.
Yeah.
YouTube trends a little bit more male than female.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, the YouTube is huge. Now, again, knowing your avatar. I do not spend any time really on YouTube. Right. I am a reader. Videos go way too slow for me.
Really?
Yeah. I have one of those little apps that I can make videos go faster, and I always watch them at 1.5 times the speed.
Gotcha.
Because otherwise I yawn, and I can't assimilate information like that.
Okay.
Which is always why you want to do on multiple platforms.
Right.
But yeah, YouTube is a great way. Again, it's owned by Google, so as a firearms person, you got to be really careful, because they will dump your stuff, and they don't care if you have 10 million people who follow you. And
really?
They don't care. They will just get rid of you.
Ugh.
So, I mean, you want to be really cautious, because regardless of what you're doing, any of the social networks can decide, no, we don't like you anymore, and we're just gonna dump all your stuff.
Right. Yeah. Have you had any high-paying clients where that happened to them?
Yes.
And then you have to have that conversation?
Yeah.
How'd that go?
Fun.
There's more to the story, I feel like.
It's like, well, I mean, then they're like, why did it happen? And you're like, I don't know. Because they don't always tell you.
Right.
That's that thing that they don't always tell you. They just said your content, it doesn't approve, it doesn't work with what we're doing, and it violates this. And you're like, wait, what'd I do? Like Facebook does it all the time. Facebook, what are those 2 women? They do their podcasts, Diamond and Silk and Diamond or something like that. Yeah, right. And Facebook killed their news feed. I mean, they were getting thousands of views, and then they got a trickle. They got 10s and 20s because Facebook decided they didn't like their content, and they didn't have to tell them, and they kept arguing with them. And Facebook said, "No, there's nothing you can do about it," right? And that's how it ends up. So I don't know what business you're in or what you're saying, but please note that if the tides turn and all of a sudden we don't like people who talk about voting, and they're going to shut you down. Right. We don't like to talk about people who talk about,
whatever they want to choose.
Whatever they want to talk about, that they shut you down.
Right.
That's scary. And that's not a lot of fun, and you don't always have any recourse.
Right. Yeah, because it's their business. It's their
They're the
platform.
800-pound gorilla in the room, and they make up their own rules.
Yeah. So how do we own our own content? What would be the best way to hold our content and our people and our clients? Mm-hmm. What's the best way to do that?
Your website, your blogs. You got videos, then they should be on your website via your blogs.
Right.
That's a good way to own it. Make sure you have a download of everything that you have.
Right.
Especially anything you create. So obviously things that you share, that's somebody else's content. But anything that you create yourself, you should have it stored somewhere. And that's going to be it. Can you use it on your newsletters? Can you use it on your blogs? Can you use it anything? So YouTube goes away. Okay, well, where else is it? Vimeo. Then put it on Vimeo.
Yep. I was jumping all over Vimeo for a
Vimeo
while.
is great.
Yeah.
Vimeo is kind of like the Beverly Hills of YouTube.
Yep.
Right? Like YouTube is kind of like the common man, but Vimeo is a step above. I always felt that Vimeo was a step above.
Awesome.
In terms of kind of classiness.
So another thing could be, and I think I even heard it in your class, and I feel like a dummy because I was like, you were basically pointing at me in class.
Oh, was I?
Basically.
Was I looking at you?
Yeah. Well, you were saying it to me. It touched my heart.
Well, I didn't have my glasses on, so you were a fuzzy blob. I was looking in the general direction. I was like, Daddy, over here.
But I always, not always, but back in the beginning, I was just telling people, I was like, listen, yes, content here. Don't worry about getting their email right now. Mm-hmm. Don't worry about getting their email. And you were like, you better focus on getting emails, which makes sense because if they do shut down your platform on Facebook, you've got your people, you got their emails. You're like, yo, this is what Facebook did to me. This is where the content's going to go now. You have that. You can still, you don't have
to communicate with them.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have to rely on Messenger or comments because you're off Facebook. That's how you keep your people.
Those are your clients. They're not Facebook's clients. They're your clients.
Yep, your email list.
How are you keeping in touch with them? So that
huge.
Is important.
So big. All right. So what platform maybe we didn't talk about today that we need to start paying attention to? Something that you see coming up maybe that would...
I'm not seeing any shining stars right now. I mean, there's a couple of them that are always trying, like the gun owners are always trying to go to WeView, which, here's the thing, people spend 45 minutes a day on Facebook. They are not looking to spend more time someplace else. If you're an Instagram person, you spend time on Instagram. I have friends my age who are like, oh, I don't even look at Facebook. I'm on Instagram all the time, and I force myself to get on there. Right? We all tend to gravitate towards one or the other, but I don't see anything. Actually, if I'm going to make a huge prediction, everybody you heard it for, I think the face of social media is going to change drastically within the next 2 years.
To what?
I'm not certain. Younger people aren't on social media at all.
Yeah.
Because of all the controversy and all the data mining and all this kind of stuff. Facebook supposedly announced that they're getting rid of the news feed, which, they're going to a more messenger-based communication, which I can't even conceive of how that's going to work. But that is going to rock people on their butts. I mean, that's going to devastate businesses who I mean, I rely on the news feed. Everybody relies on the news feed.
Right.
But to change it so drastically, but it's coming.
Right.
WhatsApp is people take an app that is for something else and then they start making it into a social network.
Right.
If you're a local person, I do like Nextdoor. I am all about local, shop local, buy local, promoting local events. All of that is a big deal for me. So Nextdoor is something that I spend time on, and I think it makes sense for people.
Yeah.
So we're a rubber band, right? We were always focused on who we are here in the local community, and then social media got to expand to the state, and then to the country, and then to the world. And I think that rubber band's going to snap, and we're going to get uber local again. And we're going to be like, okay, that's great that Kentucky is doing that, but I care about North Carolina because I'm here.
Yeah. I feel like you really feel that too here in Fayetteville, man.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Very local based.
Yeah, and it's growing so hard. Yeah. And it's because so many people, Ashley included, Nicole Wolcott, you've got a lot of people working really, really hard to build a local community. Hey, we're raising funds for people here. We're doing this here. And that is what's really important because I know my neighbor. When I walk my dogs, I wave because I know my neighbors. Yeah. That's important. People across the country, they're important too, but the hurricane came.
Yeah.
And who was there going, here, I have extra bottles of water here. Let me cook for you. Let me help you with your roof. Right? The first responders were us. Yeah. And I think that that's an important one. So if I'm making a prediction, I really think that rubber band is going to snap and social networks are going to get much more local and more intimate. So if they do get rid of the news feed and it is all about that.
You think Nextdoor's ahead of that trend? Or...
Nextdoor has the possibilities. They've got some rough edges that they need to work out. They have some edges that, because it's not easy or fun to share on that as it is with Facebook. And Facebook trained us, right? They really, really trained us. And they were brilliant at it. They are brilliant at it because, when Google Plus existed, you were like, wait, this isn't I have to do this, and then I have a circle, which means I have to think, and then and nobody used it because it was too hard. Facebook was always easy.
Yeah, super easy.
Nextdoor needs to understand, or whatever app comes that's going to be locally based needs to understand the elegance of a design that is easy. Yeah. Oh, I want to post. I click post. Yeah. I want to see my friends. I click friends, right? That's what it needs to come down. That's what I think it'll come down to.
Yeah. The less friction, the better.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely.
So I'm going to hit you with a few quick questions, and then we're going to wrap this thing up.
Good, because I'm hungry like a big dog.
Yeah? I brought food if you want food.
Oh, thank you. Hey, I did not know this is full service.
I always bring food no matter where I go.
Oh, Okay. Well, you're like my next favorite person.
Give you water, you got food.
There you go.
All right. So do you have a favorite failure that you believe has set you up for success?
Ooh, see, I have one for the gunpowder gals that set me up for success on that. But I'm assuming you want social media.
Let's just do that.
Okay.
Because
so actually, you know what? I think I can spin it so it works. So when I first started shooting, I hired someone to do an NRA basic pistol class. And it was me and 4 other gals. Now, mind you, I had only shot less than 5 times. Like I think I'd held a pistol like 3 times.
Okay.
Right? So this class was just as much for me as it was for the gals. And I went and I shot and I did really badly. And the instructor said very loudly in front of everyone, "You suck. I can't believe you suck so bad and you're the founder of a women's only shooting group." And that was devastating for me because one, you know, when you're new at something, and I don't know how it is for guys, but I know for women, we feel like we have to be perfect from the moment we do it, and especially something so simple, right? And I was devastated. And I took that and I said, I will never let anybody ever feel that way. That there will never be a woman who comes to my group that feels less than because she doesn't know everything that is to know and she's not perfect from the start. And when I teach, and this is how I'll pull it into social media, when I teach, I bring that kind of open that no, you're not, no, here, we're going to show you how. We're going to answer those questions. You can do this. And just because you don't know now, nobody's expecting you to. Right? It's okay that you go, I have no idea how Facebook works. What's a post? You know, what is this? That's okay. I have a kindness in my heart and in my soul for people who are learning something new and understand how it feels to be embarrassed to go, what is that? Yeah. You know, and so I bring that to it. So I'll say that's the failure that's really kind of floated through everything that I do. Wow.
So that you suck, was it?
Yeah, you suck.
2 words, sounds like 2 words have transformed like a lot of what you put in your passion and to ensure that people aren't belittled
and how I train people and how I teach my classes and all of this is because you know you're here to learn.
If you hear that word in your group, do you like?
I will tell you, the gunpowder gals are awesome because never do I hear that. Cool. We do not trash talk. That is not the culture that I allow within that group. It is about being supportive and helpful. And you come out, and if someone's new, and then, you know, like sporting clays, and they hit something, right? They hit, woo! Yeah. You know, we will celebrate. We've got your back. We've got your back. We'll cheer. We'll take that photo. We'll clap for you. We'll share that victory with you.
That's awesome.
Because that's part of that culture.
That's cool, man. I love that. I love that it's 2 words that come like, and now you make sure it's not
like
gonna,
I say those, and I still feel even today I still feel that like that wanting to collapse in on myself and embarrassment that somebody would, and it wasn't like I said, it wasn't a pull aside. He said it loudly. He said it to humiliate me in front of everybody.
Yeah. What have you gotten better to saying no to?
People, clients who are not my ideal clients. You know. I get a lot of really like micro businesses. I'm starting my business, and can you help me? Can you do this? And I'll say no. You're not my target audience. Now I do have something where I do training that you can buy training packages for me, and I can coach you so you can create all of this. Right. But they're priced to feed me. Right. They're priced. I wouldn't say they're priced at my value because I bring a lot of value. Sure. But I've done a balance between wanting to help the small business owner and liking to live indoors and wanting to continue to do that. Yeah. So that's I'll say no if it's not the right client for me.
Right. How hard was that for you to do that, like the very first time? Or was it super easy, like just nope? I'm going to turn on my computer. But
sure. It was both easy and hard. Like the first time, like part of me, it was that scarcity of like, how dare you turn down business? Yeah. You know, what could this give you? And then a part of me was relieved because if I'm not working with my ideal client, they're going to suck my time, my money, and my energy. Right. And they're not going to be happy, and I'm not going to be happy, and nobody really wins in the long run.
Right. It's kind of crazy how many business owners I'll work with where they don't feel as if, because they got these sucky clients, and they almost feel as if that's kind of the game, and it is to a degree, but you could build your business on people that want to work with you and that you want to work with at a very high level. Right. You just have to learn to say no.
That's the important part. It's I was talking to someone else, and she and I were talking about dating, and I said, it is about, right. If you're a woman who says yes to every man who comes up to you, you're not going to have men of value, because they're going to look at you and like, well, she's open for everybody, right? It's kind of the same thing with business. Yeah. If you are spending your time with these bad clients, the good clients you're not going to be priced for those good clients, right? Because there are people out there who go, oh no, that's not enough. She must not know what she's doing, right? And they just passed on you. Yeah. So you get to determine the value that you bring, and you get to say no. And that's, if you want to build your business, learn how to say no. Boom.
Huge. All right. What profession other than your own would be fun to attempt?
You're talking someone who's a quality assurance software person. I've been I've done like,
so think outside all of that.
Like, I can't even tell you. Everything is like exciting to me. Like, there's so many things, like the new business that I've got coming up. Like, that's going to be a totally different.
It's going to be fun. I'm going to be there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's going to be. I'll invite you to the soft launch.
Would love that.
There's just so many things. I mean, I love being a speaker, maybe a coach, because I do a lot of that with what I'm doing now. I know I'm learning a neuro-linguistic programming as an aside, and I can coach on that. So it's actually a brand called Motivational Candy that I kind of got simmering in the back. I've got blogs and things that I do for that. So I guess that would probably be where I would work into.
Gotcha. So Motivational Candy. Mm-hmm. Dude, that's got a ring to it.
Doesn't it? It's fun, right? Right now it's just on Facebook, and I've got blogs, and it's motivationalcandy.com. And it's about understanding what powers you as an individual, not as a group. And I'm not saying this is how it works for everybody, but understanding your blueprint for what motivates you. Mm-hmm. So that when you change it from this to that, you're like, oh, I know that I don't motivate well by being yelled at. Right. I don't motivate well by looking at somebody else's success. I don't motivate. Okay, so what does motivate me? And then being able to take that blueprint and then use it. Okay, I want to lose weight. Well, here's all my past successes for different things. These are the things that how do I apply it to this? Right. So that's really fun.
Can I be the soft launch of that too?
Sure.
All right, purchases of less than $100 that have most improved your life.
Ooh, gosh, that's a good one. Purchases of less than $100 that have improved my life.
Most improved your life.
Most improved my life. I'm thinking about some webinars that I've done where they've taught me how to do videos. Right. There was those challenges. Really, most of these were free, that webinars that I was like, that kind of sounds interesting. Let me just kind of take a peek into that. Right. And doing that. One, Katrina Ruth had this about journaling. It was this whole 15-day journaling exercising about, and it was not journaling about like what you do, but envisioning your future. Mm-hmm. So, I'm a 7-figure entrepreneur. People love me and want to help support me, and writing these things down and kind of just inking them into your soul so that they're just a part of your identity. Mm-hmm. That was very impactful. And that, helped lead, of course, to like the motivational candy and how strong that is about our self-talk and then neuro-linguistic programming.
Have you read the book Miracle Morning?
No, I haven't.
That'd be a great book for you.
All right, I'll look it up.
Yeah, Miracle Morning is got scribing that you'll do in the morning, or if you can fit it in the morning. Right. But it's a cool little layout of a format of how your morning should go. Right. And that's part of it.
And I know that I respond well to very structured things. Yeah. I like to go. I go off of, but I respond very well. If Candy, you do this first, and then you do this, and then I go, okay. Yep. And that's the thing, because if it's worked for someone else, chances are it could work for you.
Right. Oh yeah. It's huge. Once you check it out, let me know what you think about it. Okay. All right. And since I've asked you a ton of questions, what question do you have for me?
For you. What do you have to eat?
I could tell you because I make the same thing every single freaking day.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's an organic wrap with chicken, snap peas and broccoli, and I put rice in it. I didn't make rice, so there's no rice in it. And then so I just put cheese. So there's cheese, and then I roll it up, and that's what I eat.
Oh my God, that sounds really good.
Yep. Along with a sweet potato.
Oh, I love sweet potato.
And I don't know what else did I bring in there, but those two have to be in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, it's for me. Sometimes I get on like that kick where I just make the same thing and I eat it over every morning.
Which is easy.
Yes, because you don't have to think about it, and that's the shortcut.
I know exactly.
So, what book made the biggest impact on your life?
You know what? Because I wasn't a book reader. I wasn't.
Okay, so what?
No, I'm gonna.
Oh, there is one. Oh, okay.
So I'm gonna. So because it's not maybe what people think like Rich Dad Poor Dad or something like that, right? What it was because I worked at UPS for 12 years and I started finding that the environment wasn't really the environment I wanted to be in. So I said, well, how do I escape? And so I got a free iPod from a friend. And it was broken. You couldn't see what was on the screen, but I just kind of I downloaded stuff to it. And one of the books that helped me escape and then started getting me into books in general, and then I got into like more self-improvement and entrepreneur and business stuff, was The Kite Runner.
Oh, I have not read that.
You got to read The Kite Runner.
Okay.
Have your tissue.
Oh boy.
All right.
Okay.
Because it is a tough book. It's a great, but I found myself escaping. Like it was an audiobook. But I found myself escaping. Like I was working, but I wasn't. Like I wasn't even there. Right. I was in the story.
Gotcha.
Like their scripts and whenever they talked, I built what they look like in my own head. It's the first time I've ever had that.
Oh, see, yeah, I've been reading. I'm a ferocious reader.
Blew me away. Yeah. Like when so and so was walking up to the house, I was walking with them. Right. It was weird. It was the craziest.
That's fabulous.
I've never had that. So yeah, it's just, it wasn't cool, you know, like whatever. But that's what got me into books, was like, oh my God, I can, you can go anywhere. Yeah. Take a look. It's in a book. Yes. Right. Like I should have done that a long time ago. But that book, and then he wrote another book. Those two books.
That's it.
That got me into. Yep.
I highly recommend The Alchemist by
You're
Paul.
not the only one that keeps telling me. I need to just read it.
I read it and I was just like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, really, it's just it'll speak to your soul. It'll speak to your soul in a story that is seemingly simple. Yeah. And then you're just, but those life lessons are just like boom, boom, one right after the other. Yeah, I highly recommend it. Okay, so then this will be my last question.
Okay.
If you have a regret, what's your biggest regret? Oh, you know what? You don't forget regret. If there's something that you could do over again, if you could just like pick up that needle and move it onto that record and go from where everything you know now, and start there, where would it be?
So that's a little tough. That sounds like an excuse, right? But I feel like a lot that's happened should have happened. Like there's a lot that. So I don't know if I would change anything.
Okay, but you get to keep all the knowledge and everything that you have now, so you don't lose that. So you just everything you've got now, and you're just like back to the future type of thing.
Yeah, because a big part of my transition was when I was working at UPS for 12 years, and like knowing that this can't be it. Right. There's no like.
That feeling, right? Like this is not my life.
This cannot is it.
Yes.
This is why I was born.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, and I remember looking up at the sky because I shifted trucks, and it was a beautiful sunset, and I was just like, look out. Like, that's the universe. That's like everything. And this is why I'm here. Like, it was a big, so.
Oh, that right there is perfect. I mean, right, that right there, but just having that epiphany.
It's huge. So if I could change something, I don't want to, because that was like my thing. And then like, that's what changed it. I wouldn't start at UPS. I would have started on me immediately.
Yeah. I think that's an important thing. And I'll leave this nugget of wisdom, especially for anybody who's young, but anybody at any time. Yeah. Put money into yourself. Yeah. And that's not like to get Botox. And no, put money into your, you know, as girls, we're pressured to look a certain way. Put money into your soul. Take those training classes. Take the things that you're like, okay, like the journaling thing that I did, that it doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to make money out of it. Do things that build your soul. Yeah. Do things that you're like, hey, I'm really curious about that. Let me take that. It's $1,000. Okay, well, what do I need to do in order to get the $1,000? Don't say, well, it's $1,000. I can't do it.
Yep.
You know, people think nothing is spending $1,000 on their freaking phone or $200 a month on cable TV to sit there mindlessly watching other people.
Yeah. It's crazy.
But they'll say, oh, no, I can't afford that $200 course that will teach me how to heal myself or teach me how to be this or do that. You know what? Please spend the money.
It's crazy.
We don't know how many sunrises we have.
Yep. Oh, do you know who Tim Ferriss is?
Yeah, of course.
Dude, this guy blew my mind. And this guy blew my mind when he said, you know, I think the average lifespan is like 79.
Yeah.
9? Mm-hmm. Yep, I knew that. 79. And let's see, you're 59, right? He's like, you don't look at it as if you have 20 more years to go see the people you love and the experiences you want to create. He said, look at it as you have 20 more summers. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You have 20 more summers to spend with who you love. 20 more. I was like,
yeah, right.
I was like, oh God, time's squeezing. It's getting closer.
Oh yeah, and the older you get, and the quicker it goes.
He wants you to have that. Like he wants you to say like, so when do you believe is the best time for you to create that experience? Mm-hmm. It's now, and it will forever be now.
Yes.
But if you look at years like that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
freaky.
Yeah. My ex-husband, we would watch TV and he'd watch the news, which is, something I hated. And somebody would die, and he would look and he goes, "Yep, they only got 51 summers," and that would I would just like a hit, like wow, you don't know. So what are you waiting for? I love my mom. Mom, if you're listening, I love you. But I told her she has a house in California. I'm like, sell that house. Yeah. Take the possibly $1 million that you will get for it. And spend the rest of your life living a 5-star lifestyle. Like, get yourself a young lover, some 60-year-old to cart you around, go wild, go to India, do all this. My mom said, oh, no, I'll do that later. Like, you're 80 years old. She's like, I'm 79. I'm like, oh, my gosh, when is later? Guys, when is later?
Yeah.
When is later?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
You can't wait. Then goes back to that post. What's the block, right? Is it action or is it planning? Mm-hmm. Just take action. We only have this X amount of time, man.
Yeah, because once you're in action, then you can go, okay, this is the wrong direction. Yep. Shouldn't have done this. Yep. And then at least you know that that's done, and then you can move on to something else.
Yeah, I was telling people when they'd go through like some bad stuff, I was like, this is life, like setting you up to be a teacher for someone else, right? Like you have to go through that because someone's gonna come to you and be like, yo, this, and you're like, yo, I got you. Let me show you.
Or even better, instead of thinking, why is this happening to me?
Yeah.
How is this happening for me?
Yeah.
Right? When I think of all the things that have happened in my life, like I would not have been here if not for all those horrible things. If that guy didn't say, you suck, I wouldn't have gone, no woman will ever have to deal with that when they're dealing with me. Right, and that would have set up my philosophy and how I'm going to do everything. It was devastating when it happened. Yeah. Devastating. Yeah. Right? Being the sole supporter of my family and working my butt off and not having a clue what I was doing, that really sucked. Yeah. But it changed how I saw myself. And I'm like, I can do this.
Yep.
So
100%.
There you go.
So what question do you have for everyone listening?
How are you different?
Yeah. Which has rolled into a lot of the conversation today.
Mm-hmm. How are you different?
Where can everyone find you?
Whew, all right. Well, I always say this.
Why'd I ask that?
So, Candy Sugarman, the only Candy Sugarman in North Carolina, so you can Google me and find me. If you are looking for firearms training or even someone to come to, say, your real estate office and talk about guns and the importance of training and things that you should know, gunpowdergals.com. If you, I'm not even going to promote the social media stuff.
Why?
Because honestly, the social media stuff is for mid-level businesses. We're talking like 50 and more employees. If you do have that, that's great. If you're a smaller business owner and you've got somebody doing social media for you and you're like, hey, it's not working, then my Simply Brilliant Marketing Plans, that's simplybrilliantmarketingplans.com, that's for you. That's where I do an audit. That's where I create your strategy for you, where I look at all your competitors and I create a plan that your social media person can execute. So you don't have to pay my prices to have my social media for your business.
Perfect.
Altogether, 910-723-3899. Again, Candy Sugarman, find me. I'm pretty friendly. Just don't come up to me and go, "Hey, are you Candy Sugarman?" Because that gets a little touchy.
Yeah, and you're carrying, so be careful.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Obviously, I feel like a lot of people got a lot of value out of today, and obviously this lives forever, so they're going to continue to give value. And I really appreciate you coming through.
Thank you so much for having me. I had a great time. Other than the fact that I'm like starving like a big dog, I did have a great time. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.